What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Feral Soul. It is 2026. We have made it. Happy freaking New Year. I hope that you guys are all rested and rejuvenated and ready to start this new year off with a bang. I was kind of thinking, like, what should I talk about today? And something came through that was very fitting for the fresh start of the year. And so I wanted to kind of just go in, talk a little bit about like New Year's resolutions. What do those look like? Why don't they work? How are we shooting ourselves in the foot with these expectations? And how can we get around it? Because at the end of the day, we have these New Year's resolutions or we have these large goals for ourselves because we want to, we have goals, we have dreams, we have things that we want to achieve and we want to feel accomplished and we want that reward. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting and seeking growth. But sometimes when we put that kind of pressure on ourselves, it ends up doing the exact opposite of what we wanted. So, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to go into that a little bit with you guys. I also thought that it would be fun to talk about how I had this reflection or how this understanding has been showing up for me already. I love sharing my reflections with you guys. I love showing you guys how wild and feral even I can be. So, yes. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, first of the year, going on strong. I don't know. Okay, all of my mamas out there, all of my not even moms because yes, I will say that having a toddler makes chores and household duties like exponentially harder. But let's be honest, Brittany, you still had a problem doing your household chores even before you had a child. Okay. So, the start of the year and my house literally looked like a toy store, like threw up in it, like just wild. My daughter she's going to be 3 in a few weeks. And so she got all of these, costumes, all of these Disney princess dresses and she loves Spider-Man and so she got like this spider ghost and just all these things and so it's just constant costume change after constant costume change just literally like 10 a day. And then all of the other toys need to be out and it's just like a whole thing. Like there is no organization there, you guys. It is a lot. And then Christmas is half put away and half not put away. And we've got, just everything all around the house. And I, spent the Sunday kind of cleaning up as much as I could. And not really. And also, Sunday is for football as well. I don't know if there's any football fans out there. I love me some NFL. I love me some football. Go 49ers. So also trying to have a little relaxation time while I was also, trying to be studious and getting all of my stuff done. So anyway, so that looked a little chaotic on Sunday. And then Sunday night, I was like, okay, I have big, big plans for my business. And for 2026, my business, you guys, we are going for it. And so I'm like, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I have like this, and this that I want to do. I also need to set myself up energetically. So I need to make sure that I'm getting up in the morning and I'm doing, my energy setup and I'm cleaning all my chakras and I'm removing any dark force energies. And I need to, spend a little time in meditation so I can get into that theta brainwave state and I can start to rewire some of my, and I just like literally like I had put a list of like 15, 17 things that I needed to do in the morning. Okay. And then I get up and I did not get up early. I did not get up when I was said I was going to get up. And so then, Monday morning starts with, I like to get up before my daughter gets up, just so that way, um, I have a little bit of time to myself and I can do my energy setup and I can do a little meditating. Sometimes I like to read a few pages of a book that I'm reading, just kind of like some me time. I like my me time. And I didn't do it this morning, which we will get into why that happened in a second. But so there was that. And then my husband started his job and he's starting training, and you know how it is when you are training and it's first second day. He had was his first day, but he had all of this material that he needed to read before his first day, and so he was getting very nervous about that. And so then, because he was like fixated on that, he wasn't helping me get my daughter going. And I wanted to get my daughter going so that I could get all of this laundry list of stuff that I needed to get done in order to be successful, in order to get my 2026, my January goals going. And it just wasn't working out. And I was getting so mad at my husband. I was getting so mad at him. I felt like he wasn't supporting me. I felt like he was just completely like dumping everything on me and like acting like his job was more important than mine. And thing after thing was irritating me. And I will say that some of the things were a little irritating. For example, he put his clothes he wanted to put one of his pieces of clothes in the dryer. And so he took the clothes out of the dryer and he threw them on the couch. But what was irritating about that is that he threw them all over my daughter's clothes that I had just organized and I was getting ready to put in her closet. There was an empty laundry basket right next to the pile of clothes that he threw on the couch. If he would have just looked, but rather he threw them on top of the clothes that I had just organized and made an even bigger mess for me. So that was really annoying, actually. But all of this to be said, I was just having such a day. When he left, I was crying, just like total little Brittany meltdown. And then I started sitting with it and I'm like, why am I sitting here saying that my husband doesn't support me when I know damn well that my husband supports me, you know? And really what had happened is I was not supporting myself. I was an energetic match to it. Remember, you guys, we live in an inside out world. Our thoughts, they create these electrical circuits from our neural patterns. Our neural networks are firing off these electrical signals, and that is radiating out into our electromagnetic field, and that is creating scripts for people, places, situations, circumstances, matter, everything to behave around us, right? It creates our reality. So in order for me to feel like my husband wasn't supporting me, I had to be doing that to myself. I had to be creating that. And what's interesting is, neuroscience actually supports this because there is a system in our mind called RAS, which is a reticular activating system. Don't come for me if I didn't pronounce that right, but RAS. And essentially what this means is that if whatever is firing off from your thoughts, whatever is firing off in your mind, your RAS is going to look for evidence for that to be true. So let's say that you have this thought and it's replaying in your mind and it is, I am not supported. And because that's replaying, now my RAS is going to be finding evidence to prove to me how I'm not supported. Now, what's also interesting about this is that it will not only prove it to you, but it filters out what doesn't align with that. So my husband could have done 15 things that morning to support me, but my mind wouldn't even let me see it because I was only focusing on how I'm not supported. So that is what it was filtering in, and that is what it was bringing to me. And that is how our nervous system can get so, we get really worked up and we get like nothing ever works. And it has partly to do with this RAS system in our mind and how it is proving to us and is giving us more and more proof of how those things are true and not letting us see the proof of how it's actually not true. So that was my morning. But, I was kind of just sitting with it and I realized that like I was putting so much emphasis on this morning being the birth of this new identity, the birth of this new life, right? January 2026, everything is going to change for me and I'm going to get 45 stuff done in the morning when any other day I would get 2 or 3, and it's just that jump is just far too high. It's just far too high. And that is why New Year's resolutions don't work. That is why when we have this start wanting of an identity shift, it doesn't ever last. It fizzles out. And what's even worse is that when it fizzles out, this is what do we say to ourselves? We literally say, oh, well, I'm somebody who doesn't keep commitments to myself. Oh, I'm somebody who's lazy. I'm somebody who doesn't get these things because we couldn't reach that level of expectation. But really, our subconscious does not like change. We like to we like things that are familiar. We like things that are safe. Safe means familiar. Our nervous system does not like abrupt identity change. So there's all of these things in our mind and our body that are kind of going against us when we're trying to do these big identity shifts. That's what we'll just call it, an identity shift, just for the purpose of the of conversation. But this can look like not just New Year's resolutions, but this is also so common when it comes to healing journeys. When you learn about the spiritual world and you learn about healing and all of these inner child wounds, money belief wounds, past life regressions, there's all of these different verbiages and all these different things that people are saying to you. And you're like, oh my God, everything is wrong with me. I need to fix everything about myself. And you try to have these huge freaking identity shifts. And then when things don't change right away, you're like, oh, well, I'm broken. I'm broken. So it works for everybody else. Doesn't work for me. Well, I get to stay broke. I get to stay wounded. And so really what it is we're not giving ourselves the space. We're not giving ourselves the room to make those shifts. And so this is what I really want you guys to kind of lean into. And I want you guys to think about as you are going through, like I said, it could be your healing journey. It could be New Year's resolutions. It could be maybe you're starting a business, really any area of your life. Remember, there's 8 different areas of life, which I feel like we talk about, and maybe 2026, fresh year, we'll make an episode going deeper into the 8 areas of life. However, I am rambling again. So whatever it is that you're working on, this big identity shift or this big change, I want you guys to think about what I am calling the 1% shift. And what this looks like is making these really tiny shifts, just this 1% shift every day. You make 1% shift. And in that moment, on that day, that 1% might feel super small. It might feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. But remember that this identity shift change doesn't come from this abruptness, right? Everything we just talked about, our subconscious isn't on board. Our nervous system isn't on board. You're not going to be able to have a foundation with that. You're not going to be able to hold that momentum. You're not going to be able to hold that as a true identity, and you're going to get burned out. But if you can make these 1% changes every day, you can make just one little shift. And realistically, that's all it takes. Sometimes that's just all it takes. Because if you think about it, what does that 1% shift look like in 30 days? What does that 1% shift look like in 90 days? What does that 1% shift look like in 365 days? That is life altering change. That is identity shifting. And we think so big. We think when we have this idea of who we want to be, or what does the healed version of us look like, or what does the person, who owns their own business look like, or, whatever, fill in the blank. And we put this huge list together of all of these qualities and all these things that we need. And we say, okay, in order to get that, I have to have all of these things right now. When in reality, if you start to just make 1% shift, a 1% change, then in 3 months, in 6 months, you have now built that identity. That is you. Now, I want to take like an example. Let's pretend that you are wanting to work on your health and you are wanting to lose weight and you are wanting to health and fitness, that is your goal for 2026. It is such a common one, so I think that it'll be good. And so you say, okay, I need to work out 7 days a week. I need to make sure that I'm stretching. I need to make sure that I am drinking a gallon of water every day. Definitely need to eat my fruits and vegetables. I am going to be making all of my meals, so I need to make sure that I'm meal prepping. I need to lift weights too. So I've got to throw that in. So I need my cardio and I need my weightlifting. And then don't forget my stretching. And then probably need to be journaling and making sure that I'm counting all my calories. And you've just got all of this list of all of these things. And maybe you do it the first day and you're feeling great. Maybe you do it the second day and you're feeling even better. Maybe you do it the third day, fourth day, fifth day, and then the weekend comes and your schedule changes and what is required of you changes and you are going out and about and you can't meal prep or you don't have your lunch, and so then you go out to lunch and then you're like, oh, wow, that looks really good, I've worked so hard, I'm going to reward myself. And then because you rewarded yourself, you're like, well, I'm not going to count, I'm not going to track that because I don't want to look at that on my calorie tracker. And then I'm not going to work out because I'm tired. And what's the point of working out because I just ate bad food? And then I should probably have dessert. And so now all of these other habits that you had already had, they start creeping back in, and then the next day you're like, well, what's the point of even doing that today? Because I messed up yesterday. I'm not somebody who commits to myself. I'm not somebody who keeps my commitments to myself. So fuck it. Let's just pass the pizza. What we could do is we could do this 1% shifts. How about for the next 3 weeks, I focus on drinking a gallon of water, or I focus on when I first wake up, I'm going to have, 16 ounces of water with lemon in it. Something about your water intake. Okay. That is what I'm focusing on. That is something that is a 1% shift that is going to make a huge impact in your overall health and fitness journey. Right. And when you can do that for like 3 weeks, and now it's just a habit. Now you don't have to work yourself up for it. You don't have to talk yourself into it. You've got it. You've got your big, for me, Stanley cup. You've got your cup and you're used to it. Now, okay, let's see, what else do I want to work on? What's another 1% shift that I could make? Okay, I could start to incorporate. I'm going to make sure that I have more fruit and vegetables in, 2 out of 3 of my meals. Or I'm going to make sure that I have fruit with, all of my snacks, whatever it is, whatever feels attainable for you. And you've already got your water intake. That's already a habitual for you. Now you get to load on something else. Okay, that works. 3 weeks later, let's see, what else can I add? Maybe now I can add in steps. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting my 10,000 steps a day. And I start to work that into my routine. Okay, I can do that. Now, can I work out 20 minutes 2 days a week? I can't. And do you know what I mean? And what you have in 6 months' time, 7 months' time, is you have a completely new identity. You are somebody who clearly commits to themselves. You are somebody who has built strong habits, and you can do this. And your confidence is through the roof because you have switched that negative talk to yourself. You've switched that RAS filtering statement. Now you are somebody who keeps their commitments. Now you are somebody who shows up for yourself, and you are finding proof of that all around you, and you are executing that. And this can be, I'm doing this with my business now. When I sat back with the story that I was telling you guys before about my crash out with my husband not doing enough. I was like, I made a list of like 30 things that I wanted to do. And then I made that list mean something about myself when it's bullshit. Like, it's absolute bullshit. Yes, you're right. My house is a disaster. Does that make me a bad mom? No. Does that make me a bad wife? Absolutely not. It doesn't actually mean anything about myself. And the second that I can calm myself down, the second I can calm that down, I can actually take 5 minutes and do my laundry. I can, and that was my goal. Okay, today I'm just going to do my laundry. That's it. And then tomorrow I just worked on one little thing. It was just sometimes when we have this long list, it ends up what's the word that I'm thinking of? It ends up like overwhelming ourselves. It overwhelms our nervous system. It overwhelms our subconscious. And then we end up not doing any of it, where it's like, if you have a list, you have so I did have a list. I created a list, and rather than going and finding all of the noise and trying to clear that out, it's like, no, I'm going to pick one thing on this list to do today. And that is the thing that I'm going to focus on. And that is going to be enough. That is going to be enough. And if you get one more thing, then cool, you get one more thing. But don't shoot for 7 things. Don't shoot for all 7. Don't do it. Don't, you guys, don't do it. Start with one thing, that 1% shift. I promise you that this is how we start to rewire our brain. This is how we start to get our nervous system on board with identity shifts. This is how you start to get into the momentum for healing. This is how you start to get into the momentum for growing your business. Whatever it is that you want, like you can literally go down all 8 areas of your life and you can find these goals that you want, and then we can start to break it down. And what's the 1%? What is the one thing that I can do? Now, I will say that if you have intuition is going to be huge, because you can intuitively say, yes, this is the task that I need to do. But if you haven't trained your intuition, then A, phone a friend, love to help you, or B, just trust it. Source, give me a clear and definitive lead on what step today is going to move my needle the most. What action on this list is going to give me the quickest gains or the greatest gains today. And a lot of the time, it's not going to be that feedback, like noise that we are constantly putting ourselves in, thinking that that is what is going to get us feeling accomplished. Sometimes it might just be a little tiny thing, or it could be the thing that you definitely don't want to do, but then you don't have to worry about all the other stuff, right? So I hope I'm making sense here. I hope this is good. I hope this is landing for you guys. It was such a huge realization for me. It is one of the master tools. It is something that I just know is going to set you guys up for success. And I thought that it would be really fun to talk about it at the fresh start of the new year. So let me know if you guys have any questions, if there's anything that you guys want to go deeper on, if there's anything that you are like, Brittany, you just talked a million miles a minute and I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you please reiterate? Let me know that too. I love connecting with all of you guys so much. All of the ways to get in touch with me are going to be linked in the show notes. Let's get after 2026. I will see you guys at the next one.